Okay, friends, so this is chemistry, but it's also food. And I'm doing this because one of my students asked for it, and I did the rock candy with you last year. I'm going to show you how to make cold brew coffee. Because you know I like coffee, and I know a couple of you do as well. Um, so making hot brew or just regular coffee works because when you add hot water to the coffee, it just goes quicker. You're able to pull out the oils and the chemicals inside the grounds more quickly. It's part chemical reaction, but it's also part solubility. Things are more soluble in hot water. Um, so when you do cold brew, you have to keep in mind that some things are less soluble and just don't come out of the coffee. But if you're going to do it, it's going to take longer. So if that's going to happen, you're going to need a little bit more coffee ground than you would if you were going to do it um, regular hot coffee. And then, and it's not an order of like, well, I can do this in minutes. You're going to need to do this in days. And I'm also doing this to make fun of my brother because he's got like some sort of fancy French press thing that he can put in his refrigerator. All you need is a jar. So my wife has mason jars from canning, and this works great. But if you have like an old salsa jar or something that you just wash out perfectly and clean that you can keep sealed up is great. You're going to need some coffee filters, and then you're going to need some string to tie those filters. So that's what I'm doing. And I like to tie off a good piece of string, and I'm going to even show you guys how to do a surgical tie, or how to do like really good knots for this. Okay. All right. And I also like to put a little bit of sugar in my jar. This, guys, if you see, is unbleached sugar. And it's not referred to sugar as in the raw. If you get regular white sugar, it's bleached, and we almost never use it at home. And you can get this stuff, and it's no more expensive than getting regular sugar. This is turbinado sugar, or referred to as sugar in the raw. It's big granular sugar. If you ever get like a fancy muffin or a big muffin from Costco, the big crystal sugar that's on it. If you see here, that's what it looks like. This is the stuff I love to use with barbecue. So I'm gonna put a little bit of each one of these in my mason jar, just for giggles. You could do brown sugar, and that's got, what makes these sugars different is that they don't wash out the molasses. When you get natural sugar, it's got molasses in it. So bleach sugar takes the molasses out of it. So this is what I've got in my mason jar now. Okay. So the next thing is, you can use any coffee you want. This is my cheap Costco coffee, Nick Tamarkin. And I've got my tablespoon I keep in here, and I do heaping tablespoons. So about 2 heaping tablespoons, and I'll show you what this looks like in a sec. Actually, that's not even Costco coffee. I've got a couple different brands that I've dumped in there because I hate keeping things around. So you can see what this kind of looks like. And so now what I do is I fold the ground in, and I kind of make a little packet out of it, right there. And then I take my string, and it's butcher string, like you would if you would barbecue. And I want to show you something. You try to do this like you're tying your shoe. It's kind of hard to keep it shut by just doing one little loop under. But if you do the second, like you would if you're taught on a surgery rotation, and you get the second one under there and you cinch, notice that doesn't come loose a whole lot. And now I don't need to worry about anything. So I take my little ears and I can push through, and I try to come through, and I do it again. And I like to challenge myself to prove that I could still do this if I was doing stitches on a patient. And then what I do is I just drop that into my mason jar. That's a little messy there, but it's okay. You're going to get a few grounds in your jar when you do this. Stay shut nice. Tie it off. Nice square knot. It goes into the mason jar. And so then you take this over to your sink and you fill it up. And so I did a bunch this morning, just like 10 minutes ago, and you can see how they're already starting to tint the water. And you can do this, and it'll take, you want to give it at least 24 to 48 hours for it to taste decent, in order to get enough caffeine out of there to give you that nice to wake you up. You probably don't want to leave it in your fridge for more than 2 weeks, because after that it might go bad. I've got this nice, beautiful one that's been in my fridge for a week and a half. And I'm going to get into it tomorrow. And you can see how dark it is now. This one's got about 32 ounces of liquid in there. And so it looks like regular coffee. It's nice and dark. And it comes out and it's super smooth. It's not nearly as acidic. You have to use a little bit more coffee ground out of it than you need to out of doing regular hot brew, but it comes out beautiful. And it's nice and strong. You get your caffeine, and then especially in the summertime, if you don't want to sweat like crazy, not that I have that problem, you get your coffee. So that's how you make cold brew. If you don't have any fancy French press equipment at home, and you just have jars and coffee filters and string, you can do it. And then a little bit about sugar. Regular white sugar is bleached and processed. And so at home for doing barbecue, it's a lot easier to use the unbleached stuff, and that way you get a little bit of molasses in there. And it just all tastes better. So there you go, a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of solubility. Things are less soluble in cold water, so it takes longer, and you don't get all the acidic chemicals that would normally come out when doing hot coffee. But you got to be more patient. So there you go. Chemistry, food, science, boom. Have fun, guys.